Hi, I'm Kyleen Garcia with @Kyleen.Garcia. I'm a Villa Ambassador, Redken artist, salon owner, and stylist behind the chair. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a super easy fringe and then also 4 different ways to style this fringe. So let's get into it. We're going to go in and find the change of direction in the front hairline. I'm not talking about the large change of direction in through here, but I'm talking about this tiny change in direction. So if I lay my comb on the forehead here and I tilt it back, there's a change in direction right here where the comb lifts off the head. There's also a tiny one right here before we go back. So here's my first change in direction. Now this part of the hair really wants to live forward, especially on this mannequin and especially on some of our guests. You'll notice that they have this part of their hair that just like really wants to live toward their face. So what we're gonna do is we're going to take that little section. This piece is gonna be our guide, but it's also gonna be the part that comes forward for the guest. The cool thing about this is we can do a longer fringe in through here, but the guest will still have a piece that hangs above their eyebrows. So this is really nice for being able to still see. You know, many of our guests are like, I can't see now that I have these bangs. I want to have this like soft, swoopy curtain bang, but all this stuff falls in my face. This piece is gonna be short, and so this will help stay out of their eyes. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna take that little tiny section, and I'm just gonna clip back the rest with my Villa dry sectioning clips. These clips are nice because they won't put any bends in the hair, and since I'm cutting these dry, I wanna make sure that I don't create any bends. So this is my first guide piece. So now what I'm gonna do with this hair is I'm actually going to go in and pinch it all forward together. The reason I'm gonna pinch it is I actually wanna get a little bit of over direction. These hairs live over here, so by pinching it, it's gonna direct it to the middle, so it's gonna create a little bit of movement there. And then I'm also pretty much just cutting it in natural fall. My guide here is going to be her eyebrows because I do want this section to live above her eyebrows so that she can see when this falls. So I'm gonna take this, pinch it here, and then I'm gonna go in with my Villa Signature Series shear. And I'm just kind of softly point cutting that away. So now that we have our guide established, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the rest of my section. And now we're gonna go in and get our actual fringe section. This section is going to be that larger change in direction that I was talking about earlier. So when I go in and place my comb on the head here and I tilt it back, where the comb leaves the head back here is where I want to create my section for my fringe. So this part of the hair is going to live forward for the client. I have the start of my section back here, and then what I want to do is I'm going to actually take my section out toward the corner of the eye. I'm just going to clip back the rest of this section with my dry sectioning clips, and then I'm going to repeat on the other side. So now that we have the rest of the fringe sectioned out, I'm going to go in and split this in half here. I'm going to actually work on this section first, and I'm going to move around to the other side of the head, and I'm going to bring this hair to me. I'm going to take this section over to this side of the head. I want to make sure that I've got all these little hairs nice and smooth coming with me. We're going to slide until that last little bit of our guide falls out. So now that that guide has fallen out, I want to make sure that my finger position is horizontal, and then we're going to go in and cut that hair. I'm going in with deep notches here, so I'm already creating some texture within that section. So when we drop it down, you can see we have a short to long that hangs over top. So now we're gonna go through and repeat on this side. So I'm working on this section, so now I'm going to bring it over to this side of the head. So taking my section here, bringing my previous guide with me, making sure all of those little hairs are joining the group, sliding past my guide. I'm gonna check just a little, there we go. And I've got a horizontal finger position, and we are going to notch that hair away. We have her little short pieces here in the front, and then we have these long pieces that come down to the side. So now the beauty of this is that the guests can still wear this coming forward as if they had straight across bangs, but then they also have options to pull these pieces back. So we're gonna go through a couple different styling techniques that we can use for this versatile fringe. The first look that we're going to do is this look that she already has. So we are going to squirt this back down so I can just share with you what I used and what I did to achieve this look. We're also going to go in with some Redken Quick Blowout, protect against the heat, and help speed up this blow dry for us. And then I'm going to go in with just a teeny bit of some of Redken's Stay High Mousse, a little bit there, just to get some volume and texture up underneath of this fringe. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go in with the Villa paddle brush and our blow dryer, and we're gonna start with a wrap dry. So as we wrap dry this section, what we're doing is we're taking that paddle brush right up against the head, following around the curve of the head. What this is going to do is it's going to help pull out any cowlicks that the guest might have. It'll also allow the hair to be more movable, workable, so that we can part it wherever we want and not necessarily where it's going to split for the guest. And then it's also going to create a little bit of bend in this section, because since we are following the curve of the head, it's going to naturally start to curl under. The next thing we're gonna do is go in with our 1-inch round brush. We're gonna focus on curling this part of the fringe under, and then these parts of the fringe are going to flick out. So I'm gonna take just this middle section of hair for my first section, and I'm doing about a half on base sectioning. So I'm lifting this section up and then rolling it down. We don't want too much volume in that section, just enough to give it some lift up underneath here. So I'm going in and heating up that section, and then once this is heated up, I want to allow this hair to have some time to cool. Remember, heat forms the curl and cool sets it. Next, I'm taking these little side pieces and we're going to work on curling these away from the face. So I'm taking my round brush on top of the section. Again, we're heating that up and allowing it to cool before we release. I'm also not brushing it out once I let it out of the round brush. We want to really make sure that it can cool in that position. There we have it for our first look. She's got these nice big bouncy bangs here in the front, and then we have this nice movement and volume throughout the sides. The second option that we have for styling these is to just bring more of the hair forward and not so much coming off to the side. So what we're gonna do is just kind of re-round brush our section. So I'm gonna clip out this longer hair so that I don't accidentally grab it when I'm bringing this hair forward. Really just section out the fringe. What we're gonna change this time is that instead of really only focusing on that middle section coming forward, we're gonna take all of this hair together so that way it comes more forward and can be actually more like a blunt straight across fringe. So now what I'm gonna do with my sectioning is take off a section from the top of the fringe, and I'm gonna go in and we're gonna do more of an on base section here. So I'm gonna be lifting my round brush 45 above so that when it rolls back down, I'm landing on base so we have maximum volume in this section. And kind of allow that section to cool. And now this hair will come forward. Now we have more of a big, nice, full fringe going on. I'm gonna spin this so that you can see what it looks like from the side. Lots of volume coming forward. You would never know that that was cut shorter in that underneath section because it's basically tucked up underneath of there at this point. The next style that we're gonna go for with this fringe, it would be great for a day 2 or day 3 type of look. For this look, the only thing that we're really going to be changing around are these front little pieces. So I'm gonna actually try to section as much of this side stuff out of my way as possible. The beautiful thing about these longer pieces on this fringe is that they're quite tuckable. So that means we can get a look of fringe being tucked and it doesn't have to be long in order to do so. So now I just have this middle section left, and I'm gonna squirt this little guy down so that we can work this section into different directions. I'm going to part this hair back in the middle and start working it to the side. So remember, the way that we dried this section would be for it to be workable to go to any direction that we want it to, but now it's very much living forward. I want these sections to kind of go to the side, but then down. So now we have these little pieces starting to hang here. The good thing is this can totally just be an air dry type of situation. Now I'm just gonna go in and dry a little bit of these pieces that are going to the side, just to change the direction of where that base is going.
So for these longer pieces, all I'm doing right here is just trying to change the direction to force these hairs to kind of work back so that they can reach back to being tucked behind the ear. And I'm being careful to keep those little bits that I have hanging down in the front out of my dryer for now, because we're gonna go in and we're gonna hit those with the diffuser so that they just continue to be in the position that they're in and dry exactly how they're already laying in natural fall.
The last thing I'm gonna do to finish this look is just go in and diffuse this fringe just so that we can get it dry. Like I said earlier, this could totally be an air dry situation, but I just love how we can have these couple little pieces hanging here, and then we can create the look of that there actually aren't any bangs at all, and they reach back to the ears to be able to tuck. So we're gonna go in and diffuse this. The reason I went in with my diffuser there instead of the regular, just a blow dryer with the concentrator, is I really just wanted this to dry how it was laying wet. If we want that style to stay how it's looking when it's wet, the best way to dry that hair is with the diffuser. So now we just have these little pieces, and she just kind of has this little cute little tucked hairstyle. It's a great look for day 2 or day 3. For our final look, we're gonna go in and create some curl on this section. I already went and wet this back down, and I just combed her bangs forward. I also went in with the Redken Hydrating Curl Cream, just a little bit of that through the top. And then I also misted some water over through this section too, so we can start to get some movement and texture there. This is great for people if they don't already have natural texture in their hair, because we wanna create it and fake that natural texture and get it to hold. So we're gonna go in with these Villa sectioning clips again, and I'm going to place a little bend in the hair there and get that to hold. Same thing on the other side. I'm just placing this where I want that hair to bend away from her eyebrows. And then we're gonna go in and diffuse that in that position as well. So now that we have this dry, one little hot tip I have is to just really make sure that it's dry before we release this out of the clips. If it's wet, especially if they have naturally straight hair, it's just gonna go straight again. Okay, there we have our next look. That is a nice textured fringe going into the rest of her texture that she has going on there. There we have it, 1 fringe and 4 versatile looks. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with me today. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Kyleen.Garcia.